I met this guy, right? It would have been around 2012. Started working at Pavilion, very passionate about certain things. Right out the gate, I knew this guy cared about people.
Met Charles here when he came to the kitchen. It turned out to be like one of the great friendships that I've ever gotten to have in my life.
Charles was the chef here at SCAT, and he was so welcoming and warm. My hair changes all the time. I think what broke the ice between us, he just said, "Oh, fancy Cleopatra," one day. We've been like this ever since, so. He was just animated in his way that he would greet me, so that's how it started.
So I met Charles first here at SCAT. He was working in the kitchen. We just have a lot of mutual friends together in the recovery world.
Okay, so I met Charles when I came here to work at SCAT. The first day, I went to the kitchen to get something for lunch, and he said, "Now who are you?"
I got to know Charles from SCAT. Charles really did a lot for me.
I met Charles here at SCAT, actually. He didn't waste any time to introduce himself to me, ask me about my recovery. We kind of bonded on that.
So along the way, we became very close. Charles not only got to know me, but he got to know my family. He was there when my third child was born. He saw my kids start to grow.
You know, being in myself, I'm an alcoholic in recovery. We talked at least a couple of times a week on the phone, and he helped me tremendously. He was always caring, loving, had a great heart, and did so much for the recovery community.
I think the thing that really sticks out to me the most is how inviting he was. And I don't know him before I was, but I have a feeling when he did receive help, whatever he received in his recovery, it was so powerful. He felt everyone deserves that. I think he just wanted to pay it forward. He would approach a person that was in need, and he would ask them questions in a very kind and loving way. And he would always follow it up with, "Are you hungry?" Because Charles's passion was food. And he knew that food would heal the soul.
Cooking, he shied away from his knowledge of how to cook, and then turn around and make literally the best food you've ever
And
had.
he got to make his famous meatloaf. He was so proud of it, and like, I know how to do this. And so he was very proud of that moment where he was just allowed to really shine through. It was great.
He made guacamole almost every week that he was in. That has been my favorite guacamole I have ever had in my life. And I don't know what he did, but I sure am gonna miss it a lot.
But he would make these cookies. And every time he made them, it was like an art process. I mean, he enjoyed that stuff and he loved it. And he would always tell me, "I think it needs something." No, it needs to be
Jen
eaten.
and I went to the restaurant depot with him. Even though he's probably shopped there 3-4 times every week for the past year plus, he was still just really excited about all the different meal possibilities that he could make for the clients and staff, because that's the kind of person that he was.
I loved when he was able to like shine. I'll be thinking about chocolate espresso cookies from Charles for the rest of my entire existence.
He always had the upbeat attitude of, you know, what do we need to do today? Well, the guy's got to eat, Charles. You want to cook him something. Charles loved doing that. We called Charles Mama Bear. When Charles was around, you didn't really have to want for lunch.
His sarcasm matched my sarcasm. Could really feed off of each other that way.
Every morning that I walked in and Charles was working, I was greeted by, "Oh, there she is, Miss Shady." Every morning, it never failed. It just tickled me to death to hear him say things like this.
You know, like my favorite thing in the world was to say something so sarcastic that it made Charles like belly laugh. And when Charles belly laughed, his face got really red and he would lean back and just like love that.
Charles was so fun-loving and open. His advice to everyone was just suck it up and get over it. So the times now where I felt myself getting sad, I hear that in my head and I immediately start laughing, because he never wanted everybody to take life so serious. He felt like you got one life to live and just live it and be happy while you're doing
Because
it.
we would just have such a good time together in that kitchen and play ballad music to the loudest that it could be played in the kitchen. So if you walk past us, you just see two guys just rocking out to Karen Carpenter at like 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, and that's how we did things. So it was great.
Now, if I was to put on some music, play some Etta James in the background, he might like that.
Music was like our big bonding. He would always talk about Karen Carpenter. He always talked about Diana Ross all the time. He would constantly like introduce me to music that You know, he grew up with it. I would play him some of my music that I like to listen to, and he would be okay with some of it, and then some of it he would just be like, I just can't get into that.
Yeah, so some of the things I'm like, oh, I remember that, and you know, and we would sing it together. But yeah, it's a concert they do downtown Greenville with the 70 hits. I wanted to surprise him. I'm trying to quiz him, and he was like, Shayla, what do you have going on with this? And I was like, well, you ruined a surprise, but I was trying to get tickets to go to the 70s little concert downtown. So it was funny. He was like, what do you ask me this question for? What are you up to?
I've been listening to a lot of disco music since then because that was his love. He loved disco music. He hated new age music. And so that's the way I'll stay connected to Charles.
The guy was selfless to his core. He would do anything for anyone.
There were so many times that like I would just want to take a break and I'd go out there and I would just sit and just talk to Charles.
Those things will be ingrained in my memory forever because he wanted to make everybody feel welcome. He would always try to sit with someone and eat.
Yeah, Charles was the kind of guy, which I'm sure everybody would agree, he was so approachable. He had a warmth about him. He was always curious about you. And he would always remember. Like, be a month later, he would ask me a question about somebody or something. That's a true gift. It's a gift of a lot of things, but the unselfish nature that he has, it was just characterized in everything that he did.
He was always available. Charles was the most loyal and most dependable person that I've ever met.
One thing he always did is he made me sit down and eat lunch and take that like 30 minutes to just talk quietly and reflect and relax and then go back to work. And I will never forget that because I would have never done that myself because I just didn't think I had time, and Charles showed me that I had plenty of time.
When I think about Charles, I always think about him checking on every single person in the building to check if they've eaten yet. And if they hadn't eaten, inviting them to come get some food or offering to bring them food. And that kind of care and love and hospitality and warmth was something that, you know, people coming into addiction treatment really need. And honestly, anyone needs at any moment.
And we run an employee of the month program. I remember he was the only person on our staff who would text me and ask me to submit someone's name for it and why they deserved it. He would always try to find the person who he felt was overlooked or who was doing a really awesome job behind the scenes but wasn't getting credit for it. And I mean, he didn't have to do these things, but I think that was what made him so special. And I think that it's exactly what you want, not just for a facility like ours, but for anyone who's working in addiction treatment.
He had such a passion for clients, for people. Whoever wanted to talk, he was there and listened.
He loved checking up on people. He loved reaching out to people and just seeing how they were doing. And that was kind of his mission, really. That's kind of how he treated everyone and every day.
Many staff have expressed how much they have appreciated Charles checking in on them. I think that that's something really special that he brought to SCAT every week.
He was one of a kind, for sure. I don't have anyone else I can really compare him to. With a heart goal.
It was just who Charles was because he genuinely cared about you as a person. It wasn't small talk to him. He wanted to keep up with, you know, your progress and especially as far as recovery was concerned.
We loved Charles. He was a one of a kind. He always had a way of putting a smile on our face. We definitely enjoyed that about him, and we definitely gonna truly miss him.
And it was just, you know, he's a really passionate person, you know, just with recovery. And for me, Charles is a missed, and he'll always be missed.
There's just not enough Charles in the world, really.
Charles, he has such a passion. He touched so many people's lives, if that means anything. I know it doesn't equal the loss, but he really touched a lot of people's lives. It was pretty special.
And I don't think he knew how much he meant to people.
I am very thankful to have known Charles and to experience the kindness and the warmth and the joy that he brought every day that he was at SCAT, because you knew when he was there.
He loved and he was loved. He was very passionate.
And he will never be forgotten. He will be missed. Love you, Charles.
He'll be missed, man. I learned a whole lot from Charles on how to listen.
Yeah, Charles definitely left us with a lot of smiles and memories. Yes, he did.
I can't express enough what he meant to me.
We're gonna miss Charles a lot. We're very thankful to have known him while we did.
He will be missed. He is forever loved. So Charles, if you're listening, love you, dude.